You know what happens when people leave us?
They go on to bigger and better things.
Yes. we have found out that we have held numerous people back.
Yes, that's what we do. We hold people back.
They're here, and then they leave, and they go on to have great success. Adam Amin's a great example of that. Like,
We kidnap their careers for a short period of time. And then they get released, and then they go on to beautiful things.
yes. We're going to get to Wayne Randazzo, who way back in the day when we were upstairs, I don't know, this was before we were even downstairs here in the State Street studios, he used to do Sports Center updates here. Now he's a longtime Major League Baseball play-by-play guy. First for the Mets, now for the Angels. He's in year 2 of doing television for the Angels. I want to play you a rant that went viral over, I think, last weekend is when I saw this. This is Bally Sports LA, and this is like a little bit of everything. And what I love about this is he's working for a Major League Baseball team, and he's not hiding things.
Sprays to all field in this.
Right, and
all
like
fields.
a lot of like play-by-play guys would be like, look, I don't want to go scorched earth on baseball because I'm a baseball announcer, but like he's being critical because it's hurting the sport.
Yes.
And he wasn't shy about it. So the player that he's talking about here is Nolan Chanel. And that's one of the players. He'll also talk about Ohtani in here as well. But Chanel is a young player who had a consecutive on-base streak that was taken away by a scoring decision that baseball had, like retroactively, that was so stupid. And Wayne had a great rant about it and other things, too, about how baseball doesn't market the sport correctly. Take a listen to this, and then we'll talk to Wayne.
Negative story after negative story, scandal after scandal, a fiasco in Oakland. You have these ridiculous-looking jerseys. You have the MLBPA challenging the league about the pitch clock today because of constant pitcher injuries. And yet, not to mention your global superstar is embroiled in a betting scandal. But on top of all of that, you have a young player trying to make a name for himself who has come up and reached base safely in every single game that he has played. And the league allows this scoring change to go on to end his streak, kill this story, a positive story that's happening in Major League Baseball. It is an absurdity.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about all the positivity from all over the social media world, how it pressed everybody to start your career. He was this in college last year. He was still playing in college baseball at this point. And then to have that taken away on a base hit. It was a base hit.
It was a clear hit. It wasn't even really a borderline call. It was a clear base hit.
You know, like I said in the pregame show, the NBA doesn't take an assist away from LeBron James, and he's got a triple-double, and he's trying to add on that record. It just doesn't happen.
Good stuff right there from
That's
this last
fantastic.
week. And I sent that to you guys. I'm like, this is Wayne. This is a guy who used to be over here at ESPN 1000, and he's gone on to much greener pastures, doing play-by-play, first of the Mets and now of the Angels. And he's doing the Cubs game tonight against the Mariners, and this is a streaming game. This is the way the world is going now. So tonight's Cubs game, for all you Cubs fans, is on Apple TV, and the person you're going to hear doing the play-by-play is the guy that we're going to talk to right now, is our old friend Wayne Randazzo, who joins us right now on the CarX Tire and Auto Hotline. Wayne, how have you been?
I've been good. You know, my first foray into broadcasting was interning for Cap and Waddle in the spring of 2005. So that was quite an education right away, right out of the gate from those two guys.
You've come a long way, baby, as they say, Wayno. I'm telling you.
Wayne, what was the first lesson that you learned from either Waddle or Cap?
That's arable.
Yes.
Being on time is
Yeah,
optional.
being on time, because I had to yell to David Kaplan when there was a commercial so he would go sprint into the studio so he could do his own sports update. So timeliness and relying on whoever you need to do that is very important.
So true.
That is great.
So true.
So before we get into the Cubs, when you go on a rant like that, is there any worry about repercussions or a call from the commissioner? And did you hear anything about that from any higher ups?
No, I think, first of all, the Angels were supportive in the sense that they wanted a message out that they were upset about this call going against their player who was approaching a record streak. He was only about 10 games away from the all-time record to start his major league career, and it was something the Angels were promoting and getting heavily into as he was getting closer and closer, and I think it's taken away 6 days after the fact. In this scoring change. So the Angels were supportive first and foremost. And then, as far as the league, there was no attack on the commissioner. There was no attack on any individual person. It was really just as an entity, Major League Baseball has some issues that they need to iron out, and flattening positive stories when there are so many negative ones going on right now, I think is a tough look for the league, because they need as much positivity around it as possible. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a baseball fan. I love baseball. That's what I've loved my whole life. And it's an honor for me to be able to have a microphone for a Major League Baseball team, and in this case tonight, working on a national platform. I mean, it's what I wanted to do my whole life. So it's coming from a place of love and not hate, and something that I would love to see the sport be at its finest at all times.
What would you change? Like, if you had a magic wand, Wayne, what would you change first? If you could get one change I'm giving you, what's the first thing you would change in baseball?
I think what you would really want to see is 30 ownership groups really making sure that they're trying to field the best team possible. And when you have, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 or more ownership groups that are just flat out not even trying, I think that is the biggest denigration to the sport that there is. I mean, you have 30 teams. That's it. You represent, 25, 26 markets, whatever it is. And these are the teams that are carrying the tradition of this sport going back now close to 150 years. So it is a tremendous privilege to have these teams and to be able to field Major League Baseball players in these stadiums and try to do your best. And when some of those teams aren't even bothering to sign free agents or put their best foot forward in terms of what's on the field and developing players, it hurts the sport. So that would be the number one thing that I would try to make sure would happen, is that all 30 teams are giving an attempt to try to win.
And Wayne, how would you go about trying to inspire them to do that? Would it be as simple as putting in a minimum that each franchise has to spend in a Major League Baseball payroll?
Yeah, well, I think that's where you get into the negotiations with labor and between the union and the league, is that if any discussion about a salary floor has also included a salary cap, which the players don't want. So it would have to be league imposed. But when the commissioners of all these leagues, not just baseball, are really employees of the owners, you don't have that kind of strong arm tactics toward the owners from the commissioners, not in any of the sports. But yeah, that would be the first place to start, is to say these teams have to spend X number of dollars at minimum to show their fans and show the other teams around the league that they're serious about even trying to win.
Wayne Randazzo is from here. He grew up in St. Charles, and obviously he worked here before, and he is now the voice of the Angels, and he's doing tonight's Cubs game on Apple. Before we go there, Wayne, what was it like the year that you were doing the Angels with Ohtani, and what do you think about the current situation going on right now?
Well, I mean, at face value, you feel horrible for Shohei if everything that appears to be what it is actually the truth, and Ippei was doing this behind Shohei's back the whole time and impersonating him and stealing his money right out from underneath him. It's a horrendous betrayal. I mean, almost a brotherly betrayal when you think about how close these two guys were. Even back to Shohei's days playing in Japan, Ippei was the English-speaking interpreter for Shohei's Japanese team. That's how they met. And Shohei brought him over to the U.S. to be the Japanese-speaking interpreter for him with the Angels. And aside from being just an interpreter, he was Shohei's right-hand man in everything in life, which allowed him the access to do a lot of the things that are being reported and alleged that he was doing. So it's if everything is how it seems, then this is just an incredible act of betrayal towards Shohei, and you feel terrible that he trusted this person fully. and spent just about every single day with him in season and off season. And now Shohei has to face not only these stories and this scandal, but also the betrayal of his best friend. It's crazy. And in terms of being there last year and watching Shohei play, I'm sure I'll never see anything like it again, especially on the days that he pitched. Just the aura of Shohei Ohtani as a two-way player and the elite level that he played both of those positions, it was extraordinary, and it's something I'll never forget.
Wayne, can you kind of elaborate on just how important Shohei is to Major League Baseball?
Well, for a sport that really wants to be mainstream and globalized and being the kind of sport that I think we all kind of grew up with it having been around just as our national pastime, you need superstars and you need guys that are able to kind of break through in a way that very few baseball players try to do. I mean, the Angels have one. They have another one. They have Mike Trout, who is as great of a baseball player as there has ever been. He is an all-time great. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he doesn't get the endorsement deals that Shohei does. He doesn't get the breathlessness from the fans, the kind of Michael Jordan-esque chasing around that Shohei got. And I think baseball needs to lean into a guy that gets all that organically. I mean, this is just Shohei fever. Whatever comes with Shohei is this. And it's something that is unique to baseball in this day and age, despite there being several other good players, great players around the league. So I think that baseball has to capitalize off of Shohei because there's no one else like him, not just in terms of what he can do on the field, but what he presents off the field. There's almost like a European soccer superstar or a LeBron-like superstar, something that baseball does not have a lot of.
Wayne, what do you think of our Cubs?
Well, it's a wide open division. I think maybe more so than people realize. You could really make the case for all five teams in the National League Central. People figured Milwaukee would take a step back after losing their manager and their best pitcher. Maybe they still will, but they certainly seem competitive so far. Maybe this is the year the Pirates leap forward. Maybe it's the year the Reds do. I think the Cubs are kind of steady right now in terms of how they looked from last season to this season. They hope Craig Counsell can turn some more late game decisions into victories, and maybe they get over that hump. But as far as being a clear favorite in the National League Central, I don't think there is one. I think the Cubs' biggest struggle is how are they getting 27 outs every day, especially with Justin Steele on the IL. If they can solve that riddle, then that'll help them go a lot further.
All right, so tonight you've got the call on Apple TV, correct?
Yes.
So we can't wait to watch. We appreciate you, and congrats on all the success.
Amen to that.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.